Hey guys, this is John. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to finish up the Schwinn Volare, the 1978 Schwinn Volare that we pretty much got everything done on. If I had any brains, I would have just included this last part in the last video. But the last video is getting long, so we're going to finish that one up. After that, what we're going to do is we're going to show you the rest of my Japanese Schwinns. Why do these bikes exist? Why did Schwinn have to go to Japan to build these things? Why couldn't they do it themselves? We're going to talk briefly about that as we show these other bikes. They're really cool. I dig them. I have some nostalgic connection to them. But yeah, we'll go over that. We'll kind of give you some updates as well as to what we're going to be doing in the future of the channel. Other things, I'm going to the Philly Bike Show. Go online, check it out. You'll see the link below as to who's going to be there, and let me know in the comments section who you want me to visit and do a video on while I'm there. So, all right, without further ado, let's get started finishing this bike. So see how your spring is keyed into this center bolt here? What you're actually doing is you're moving the whole brake like this. To center the brake, you're actually moving the spring by moving the center pivot bolt. So by having a wrench in the back and having a wrench in the front, you're doing that. And when you get it where you want it, snug up the back while holding on to the front. Because if you don't, then your adjustment won't stay. Hope I explained that well enough. Now when you're adjusting a brake, the first thing I like to do normally is adjust these bolts to make sure there's no free play. Now we did that in the last episode. So these run freely and there's no free play. Second thing I like to do is aim up the shoes. Now I like to do that after I hook up the cable sometimes, as long as, because when you close it, you hook up the cable, get it adjusted, it's a lot easier to move the brake shoes around with the cable in. Then we also have to check the toe in. So I'm going to stick the cable through, and with these particular levers, I could stick the whole thing in, even the last ferrule here. And we just put the cable in, here we go. Now there's a ferrule in there. Normally you'd have an end ferrule. I'm going to put that through the pinch bolt, just like that. Oh, I have a tool called a third hand. You can still pick these up around. Here we go. Very handy tool for keeping the brake shut while you make adjustments. So now this is an existing cable. It's already been stretched. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a couple threads showing here, and I'm going to tighten the cable down. Now at this point, I can release the third hand. Looks about right. We got some space on one side, not the other. We just have to center the brake. So when you're centering a brake, we're going to kind of do a steering wheel motion. We're actually going to put one wrench on the back nut here. Now these are locked together. Then we're going to put another wrench on the back, 10mm nut, and we're going to turn it like a steering wheel. Well, it looks like we have to move it this way to center it. All right, here we go. And if it doesn't want to move, loosen the back bolt a little bit. Let's try this. Here we go. And once I get it to kind of where I want it, I'll tighten the bolt in the back. Wow, okay, that was too easy. Looks like it's moving equally on each side. Of course, make sure your front wheel is perfectly centered when you do it. So when you have to choose the length of your cable and how to run it, that's open to religious debate. Trust me, look in the comments section. It's gonna get fun. Anyways, I don't like them sitting too tall. Some people like a bigger swoop, some people don't. Some people say I should run this cable behind the handlebar because it's a more direct route. And they are absolutely right when they say that. However, myself, just maybe because I went to Schwinn Service School or whatever, I run them in front because when I'm riding, I don't like the cables in the way. I don't want them flopping around in the wind. Now, of course, you want to make sure that the bend isn't too quick here. I totally get that. But you know what? Hey, it's out of the way. It's shorter. It's not flopping around. I'm happy with that. If you want to differ, put it in the comments section because everyone else will. The biggest thing I get made fun of is by the way I run my cables, and that's okay. It doesn't bug me. You know, if I have a European bike, I'll probably run it the way you know, some of you guys want, over the top. Now, for the rear brake, I have a cable stop right here. So you can't run this thing the way many would suggest, over the top. It just won't happen. So it's gonna come here, and pretty basic. Let me show you. So the casing for the rear is gonna go here and up and around. So make fun all you want. That's the way it's going. Little grease. And the only reason you need grease is because this is old-fashioned cable without the liner, the little nylon liner that you normally get nowadays. So vintage stuff requires vintage methods. All right, we're gonna center these puppies, wrench on the front, wrench on the back. Turn it to where it's centered, tighten the back, give them a pull. Looks like I did good. While you're adjusting the height of the brake shoe, you do wanna make sure that the shoe itself is like parallel with the curvature of the rim. Parallel with the curvature. Yeah, make sure it's equal, not turn like this or like that. Make sure the whole brake shoe hits and give it a snug. Now, when you tighten this, it might turn the shoe, so be careful. I also seen people go as far as putting a wrench on it like this as they tighten it. Now, as for the toe in, I don't know if this is going to be easy to film. As for the toe in, you always want the front of the brake shoe towards the front of the bike to touch before the rear. That eliminates brake squealing, unless you have crappy brake shoes, and you're still going to get brake squealing. Now, the way you do that is actually, because these bolts are tight, there's no free play here in the arm, you actually take an adjustable wrench and you actually flex it. It doesn't take much, so be really careful. To do that, sometimes you have to lower the shoe. Put the wrench on it, put the shoe back, and check. Well, guys, I am thrilled the way this bike turned out. We took this bike that was generally in good shape. We just did a little clean up work. We did eliminate the reflectors. I'll keep them with the bike at all times, however. We got some new hoods, tape. We rebuilt the shifters, cleaned those up, repacked the hubs, repacked the bottom bracket and the headset as well. We kind of cleaned up the chain. It wasn't really too dirty. We did clean up the cog, rebuild the rear hub. The one thing we didn't do that maybe I should do is rebuild that freewheel, but there's no miles on it. This bike doesn't really have a blem, which is really crazy from 1978. Okay, I lied. There's one. And also there's a little bit of paint starvation here, but it's not a chip. As you can tell, it's chrome underneath. And what they did with these bikes is they would chrome the whole bike, polish the lug area, the fork, the stays, and then they would paint it. So it is paint over chrome. That's one way they get this beautiful finish. And look at that. No big deal, but there's another tiny little flaw. And a lot of the Schwinns were like that. But this is gorgeous. As a matter of fact, this is my Schwinn Voyageur from 1973. It's the first quote-unquote vintage bike I ever bought, or for the collection. Bought it in 1992 at Budget Bicycle in beautiful Madison, Wisconsin. In the same way, they would chrome these whole frames, and then they would just paint over the area. Obviously, they don't want chrome. Now, this one here is original, with the exception of the saddle. Guys, this isn't the correct stem, is it? You let me know. I don't think it is, actually. It's a GB. It's longer than what it came stock on this bike. We got the suicide levers. Got to have those on this vintage bike. In really good shape, guys. This is gorgeous. And I understand this is, I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, the first Schwinn imported from Japan. But it's a gorgeous bike. I love the bar cons, and it's a nice, comfortable ride. The next bike I'm going to show you is a Schwinn Super Sport from 1982. And a Super Sport and a Super Sport SP were both touring bikes. Now, for a while, Super Sport was a kind of a heavy Philip raised bicycle, with one-piece cranks. Then it kind of evolved into a touring bike, then into a racing bike. They use the name a lot, but this is one of the better Japanese frames. It's got the Champion #2 tubing, which is awesome. And I tell you what, guys, the work on these frames are just gorgeous. They really built a great frame. And, they built these bikes all came out only because Schwinn kind of created their own competition when they changed the way they distributed their bikes. The distributors were bringing in much lighter weight, European models, Motobakan, Jeton, Fuji came in from Japan. And to compete with that, they had to go to Japan because they were not ready to compete with their Philip raised frames out of Chicago. So this is just really, really nice. Now, what I really loved about this is nostalgic for me. When I started working at a Schwinn store in 1982, this and the SP were the two top line bikes in the store. I love the way that the racks are, you have to put them together, with little Allen bolts. I thought that was the coolest thing. They had a little nicer cockpit with a nicer SR stem. But oddly enough, obviously, down tube shifters on a touring bike, side pull brakes, no cantilevers, but did have cyclone shifting with the SR Apex crank and the long cage Suntour derailleur. There was probably basically the best shifting long cage derailleur of its time. So great bike. Now in the Schwinn catalog, the next model up was the Super Sport SP. Now, similar frame, except for they had a few upgrades. And I tell you what, when I sold retail, it was hard to talk people up to it. There was some upgrades. Number one, the Sugino AT crank, which is arguably one of the best cranks they had of its time. The Cyclone 2 derailleurs, what the heck's the difference? Who knows? Supposedly an upgrade. Honestly, I don't think it was. They do have the 400 brake, they call it, or the 500, I'm sorry, the GC 500 brake, which was nicer polished, a little bit stiffer and so, with the drill levers. Now, the stem on this is a Technomic, only because I'm getting older. I put the Brooks saddle on it, and actually it's not a Brooks, it's a Brooks. This is a Wright saddle. And I don't know, it might come off. These things are biting into my butt. Now, this one I actually do ride. It does have the proprietary racks that mount direct, and they're not put together like on the Super Sport. Also, the fork mount, check that out. That is awesome. Now, is that better than the other one? Probably a little bit, but guess what? I don't know if there's a big difference. This particular bike, I have some sealed Sovos hubs with some Weinmann concave rims that are not stock. Stock wheel set, it's under there. Of course, some look pedals because I use my clipless pedals. But yeah, just a wonderful bike. And once again, this is what, $599 back in the day, and the regular Super Sport was $549. So yeah, $50 difference. Hey guys, when I was a kid, I worked at a Schwinn store. I had a Schwinn World Sport. And then right away, I bought a Schwinn Latour because I got the employee discount. 4 months later, Schwinn put on the sale, the Voyageur 11.8 in chrome. Matter of fact, check out this picture. This is actually, a picture of me with my very first Voyageur 11.8. Of course, it's a 25-inch frame. Notice the zipper fairing up in front. I also notice the Voyageur sale sign in the window. But this bike to me was the cat's meow. First of all, it was chrome, and it was shiny. I like shiny then. Diacomp G brakes, regular array of box rims, the Sugino Maxi cranks, which are nice. It was the first bike I ever had that had all alloy chain rings. I thought it was a happening dude. Forged drops. First bike with forged drops that I had. The Altus shift system. And as you can tell, guys, once again, you're sick of hearing it on this channel. I don't think this thing has many miles on it. I got it from Bernie. Hey, Bernie. Bernie watches the channel. He's from a little bit west of here, and he's a friend of the channel. So thank you so much for bringing this over to me. Beautiful bike, and it means a lot to me because my very first bike that I really was proud of was the Schwinn Voyageur. Well, guys, she pretty. It really is. It wasn't a hard project because the bike was in great shape, but it really needed a once-over. Just turned out wonderful. Hey guys, if you like vintage road bike content, this is the place to be. Please leave a like on this video. Also, subscribe to the channel. Who else is doing what I'm doing? I'm going to be interviewing all kinds of characters from the bicycle industry, from the sport itself, people that you want to hear from, people from the past. And this is a vintage channel, so that's what you're going to get. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And as I move this channel forward, I'm seeing all kinds of people that want to be interviewed, that want to be on the channel, the people that you know, people you want to know, people that made cycling what it is today, the pioneers. So I'm really excited about that. So please stay tuned for that. That's why you got to hit that subscribe button. You're not going to get this kind of content anywhere. And it's 100% free of charge. I guarantee it. You'll never be charged a dime. And guys, go to Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I have a group and I interact every day on it. It's John's Vintage Road Bike Garage. Surprise, surprise, but check out Facebook as well. So moving forward, you're going to see all kinds of content. We're going to be working on this Motobacan. We'll do a video on Motobacan. I learned you guys really love those things. And they're cool bikes. What else we got? We're going to work on this Frejus. We're going to be working on a Trek 970. We're going to rebuild that sucker. A lot of you guys commented after the last video that you want to see that thing redone. And we're going to do it. And that's not all. You're also going to get a video on this Pinarello. That's going to be a neo-retro build with some Campanile Centaur. I got a 1995 GT that I originally bought when I worked for them. And I'm going to build it up, and who knows what's going on in that thing. But that's going to be a lot of fun, too. I gave that bike up to my nephew, and he just gave it back to me. So I'm kind of excited about that. So, hey, guys, I get all amped up. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you next video.